Welcome to another episode of African Mindset series. Today, I just wanted us to reflect on the situation in Niger and what that means for the whole sub-region and Africa in general. It saddens me that we are even thinking about the prospect of Africans fighting other Africans just to protect Western and US interests, because that's what this is all about. ECOWAS threatening to intervene militarily in Niger in order to protect Western interests. It reminds me of the world wars where you had Africans fighting for Britain, Africans fighting for France, Africans fighting for Germany, and these soldiers were pitted against each other at the behest of the colonial master. That's exactly what we are doing now. Under no circumstances should we in the 21st century as Africans spill other African blood just to advance the interest of the colonialists, of the colonists, if you like. It really saddens me what's going on in Niger. And I think we must rise up and avert this disaster. For those soldiers who have been given orders by their presidents, I say reflect. Reflect what you are doing. Is it the right thing to go fight another sovereign African nation, your brothers and your sisters? Is it right to put your lives on the line to protect the interests of the West? The same people who have oppressed us for the best part of 500 years. Is it right to do it? This calls for disobedience against these ECOWAS puppets who are bent on restoring a precedent that has been rejected by their people. I thought the definition of democracy is to respect the will of the people. As far as I can tell, the majority of Nigerians, over 70% when a straw poll was taken, support the military regime. And therefore, what mandate does ECOWAS, does France, what mandate does the US or anyone have to intervene in Niger? This is essentially an internal Nigerian affair. If the Nigerians do not want the putschists, as they call them, although the real putschists, as far as I'm concerned, are the French, the Americans, the British, all these countries behind the scenes who, because they profit from Niger, want to sow chaos there and reinstall their puppet. These are the real putschists. But the people of Niger support the military. So the question again is, what legitimacy do we have? Does ECOWAS have to intervene there? And let's not make any mistakes. ECOWAS is just a front for NATO. It's just a front for the US and France. It's a shame that Niger already has a US military base and French military base. If what happened in Ivory Coast is anything to go by, I'm pretty sure as soon as ECOWAS moves, the French and Americans will take over. They are inside the country already. This is the more reason why African nations must not have military bases. We must not have any foreign military bases on our soil. Just like Gaddafi, Kwame Nkrumah, Sankara, all these luminary African leaders predicted and said, Gaddafi fiercely opposed military bases on our continent. These people hide behind the fight against terrorism to come and install their military bases in our countries, and we accept them. Well, the situation in Niger is very, very disturbing for me. And I know in the sub-region, we have these dictators like Alassane Ouattara who changed the constitution to reimpose himself on the Ivorian people, the likes of Biya, and Senegal Macky Sall, who is happy to deploy the police and the army to kill Senegalese youth who expressed a disgust at the way France was controlling their economy and all sectors, depriving Senegalese of jobs, etc. Anyway, going back to my point about democracy, I thought the definition of democracy was to respect the will of the people. Over 70% of the people in Niger support this coup. So, as I said, what right, what mandate does ECOWAS, does the US, does France actually have to intervene? You know, as far as the West is concerned, let's make no mistake. Democracy to them means a political regime that does their bidding. If you don't do their bidding, then you are not democratic, whether you are supported by the people or not. Because let's look around even West Africa. The hypocrisy of the West stinks. You know, they turn a blind eye when you've got autocrats like Alassane Ouattara. You've got Biya, who has been in power for over 30 years. They turn a blind eye because they are doing their bidding. Or even when it's a military regime like in Chad. Because in Chad, when the president was killed, his deputy should have replaced him if we were to go by the constitution. But Macron flew from Paris to Chad to anoint the son of the president as their leader. And he's a military ruler. So in what way is that not a coup? That's a military coup in its own right. Yet it's got the blessing of the West. You have people who steal elections, like Tinubu, as is widely claimed, now telling Niger that their regime is illegitimate. Again, with Tinubu, the West largely turned a blind eye. So when it's a civilian coup, they turn a blind eye. The civilian leaders who are puppet masters of the world, the West, they turn a blind eye. Even the military, so long as you do the bidding of the West, it's democratic according to them. So the Western definition of democracy is not consistent, and we must not accept it as our definition of democracy. Africa must define for itself what democracy is. And if the will of the people is to be governed by the military, so be it. I say to anybody who is in the military in West Africa, please reflect before taking arms against your brothers and sisters. This mental slavery must stop. Ask yourself, what are you fighting for? Fighting for the interests of the US or France? They don't give a hoot about us Africans. So why must you take arms? Risk making your wife a widow, risk making your children orphans, simply to fulfill the will of your head of state, who is a Western puppet. Africans arise. You know, now there's a wind of revolution and emancipation sweeping across Africa. The youth are fed up with Western imperialism. The youth are fed up with French neocolonialism. That is what is behind all these coups in West Africa. So personally, I support the coups. So long as the will of the people is being respected, and if the people want a coup, so be it. That's democracy in action, isn't it? Anyway, I think I'm going to stop here, but please share the video. Let's sensitize other people. Let's raise the consciousness of our brothers and sisters. If you know anybody in the military or in the police in your country, share this video with them. We must not, as Africans, pick up arms against other Africans again in order to serve the interests of the very people who oppress us, the very people the populations are fighting. As a military, you are meant to defend your people, not kill them because some, you know, your president whose strings is being pulled elsewhere is demanding you to. Africa, please wake up. It's 21st century. We must not commit the same errors of the past. Wake up, people. Thank you.